Hello Knights and Wizards, welcome to Dark and Darker, the Newbie's Guide. This video is going to be mainly focused for people who are brand new to the game and around like 0 to 50 hours, I'd say. There's going to be some tips in here maybe some people might have not known about if you just got the game or so. So we're going to be talking about it. So the first thing that you're going to be doing when you first get in is you're going to have your quest log here. You want to accept all these quests. You can go through and kind of read so you kind of understand what you're doing here and what you're going to need. There's a lot of good things about doing the quests. You get gear, which you could probably sell if it's not for your class, or you get. I mean, there's a bunch gear, and then I'll show you some extra stuff that you can. That's really important about the quest. So we're going to be talking about first the Squire. So if you don't know about the Squire, we're going to talk about it right now. So in your Merchants tab up here at the top, you're going to have your Squire, and he's going to be right here. So if you go here, this is going to be your kit whenever you get when you die, and then you're going to have your base gear. Now, because I've done a lot of quests, I've unlocked more stuff. Yours is not going to look like this. The more quests you do for specific people, you get more stuff unlocked. Your basic rogue kit will probably look something. I believe you start out with a rapier, and then you get a rondel. So we're going to swap those actually. You get a throwing knife, a campfire, and you'll have the loot. The loot is very important. I'll show you guys why. And you make sure you get the potion of protection, potion of healing, and the bandage. And then you also start with the adventurer's tunic, and then I believe the cloth pants. Either that or the heavy leather. Stay with the cloth pants. So, oh, and boots. I'm pretty sure you get boots. I don't think you get the Dex 2 boots though. You get oh, maybe you do. Actually, you might get the Dex 2 boots. I think you do, so I'm going to go with that. It's going to be different for different classes. One thing I'm going to recommend. So when it comes to gear, you want to try and keep your movement speed pretty quick. Especially, oh, I changed it but didn't equip it. So you got to do this and equip. So you can set it and then you can equip it, and then it should change it. And I have stuff, so it's not going to fully change everything. So I'm going to take that off because you're not going to have that. And you're going to have this. This is what your basic loadout's going to be. You're not going to have any money to buy potions, and that's okay. But when you do get money, you can go over here to Alchemist, buy some potions. Don't be afraid to buy a bunch because, you know, it's going to be hard for your first couple games. And then Surgeon has bandages as well. And then we'll go through this. So your class, you're going to start out with one perk. There's a lot of different really good perks for, I don't want to go too in depth with this because I'm not going to talk about all the classes, but your basic starting ones are always really good. Just go ahead and read them and then kind of understand what you're doing. For Rogue specifically, I go with Dagger Mastery. We're going to keep it Dagger Mastery. Oh, it didn't fully change everything, that's right. I'm going to have to do this because I did escape with this gear. It's not going to change. I didn't have those gloves. I had the cloth pants. I got the adventurer's boots, I gotta take those off, and then of course the stiletto, and the rapier's good, and then we'll go to Squire here. And then we'll talk about this here in a sec. Okay, so your class. So I usually go with Dagger Mastery, that one's really good, or you can go with Traps and Locks. Traps and Locks is really good because it allows you to lockpick chests that you normally wouldn't be able to get into unless you had a lockpick. Jokester is also pretty decent too because it gives you stuff. But we're just going to keep it very simple for right now. So one thing that you want to stick with, what I was talking about, is your boots and, you know, look at your gear. Because you're going to see movement speed reduction on some of your gear. That's really important. That's really important for running away from players and mobs. You want to make sure that your movement speed is at least, without your weapon equip, 100%. You generally want a little bit more, so you're faster than most people, but because in the high rollers and stuff like that, people have movement. They're not going to be running slow unless they are a PDR fighter with sprint, which is going to be physical damage reduction build fighter. Some gear has extra stuff on it, so you can see that. You have your base roll, and then the blue is going to be your extra roll. So the higher the value, like the higher the grade, the more rolls it's gonna have. So blue has 2, and then purple has 3, and then it's pretty simple. And green has 1 extra roll, and then your gray is gonna have no rolls. and then you have this supplied gray, which is the extra gray, and then regular gray, which is this, which is you're gonna have just a +1 extra what it is. So this one, if it was the light gray, be dexterity 2, but no extra roll. So I'm gonna actually put those back in here because I don't. Oh no, those are supplied. Oh, okay. I'm tripping. So you don't start out with those. Which ones do you start out with? I can't remember. I think old shoes, maybe? I can't remember. I think they're just permanently upgraded. So we're just going to go with the old shoes. I wouldn't recommend that. I'd go with the Dex ones. And we'll talk about stats here next. Sorry, my baby is teething. Sorry for that. So a lot of these are going to be pretty intense to look at. But these are going to be your main skills right here. All these are going to be pretty important, and it's going to be different for each class. But you have your strength, which increases your physical power and the damage you do with weapons, and slightly increases your health. This one is kind of important. It used to be really important for barbarians because it used to greatly improve your health. But this one, don't think it's the bee's knees for every melee class, because a lot of gear that has strength on it is going to slow you down, and it's going to be impossible to catch someone unless you know what you're doing. Vigor is going to be straight health, so the more vigor you have, the more total HP you're going to have, and it's always really nice. This one is a really good stat to build on side pieces, right? You don't want it to be your main stat, but having extra vigor. Okay, sorry about that. Vigor is going to be a really important stat for most classes. Unless you're going full glass cannon, which in duos and trios isn't that bad as long as your friend is going to protect you. But this one is always really nice. I recommend it. So, in agility and dexterity, your agility is going to increase the regular interaction speed and move speed of your character. Slightly increases the action speed of your character. So, if you have an item like the heavy boots or whatever or like gloves, a headpiece that will slow you down, but it's going to have really good stats. If it has an agility stat, it'll also help with your move speed. So it could counteract it, and as long as you kind of stay around a pretty fast range, you should be pretty good. And especially if you're a class that has movement speed enhancing abilities. Rogue kind of does have it with the hide ambush, because you gain movement speed, I believe, with ambush. Yeah, you get 10% movement speed for 3 seconds. It can be really helpful for getting away, but we're not going to go super in depth with that. And this as well. Your regular interaction speed is going to be like doors, chests, locks, looting players, looting bodies as well. Not shrines and resurrection things. That's going to be magical interaction speed. That one's also it's not really that important, but it's not bad to have, because it can really help in a fight if you have a shrine and you can take it really fast. It can be helpful. Dexterity. This one's also really great. Really great for rangers, rogues, a lot of classes. Barbarian, you can build completely around dexterity, vigor, and or dexterity, agility, barbarian. So this one's going to increase the action speed and the manual dexterity of your character. Increases the item equipped speed of your character as well. So this one's really, really handy, because this is going to increase your action speed, which is your swinging, and putting away your weapons and pulling out your weapons, and it's super handy, especially for Barbarian 2. It's really good for Rogue because it increases how fast you're stabbing, which can be a game changer for clearing mobs and fighting certain classes like Barbarian when you're trying to get in a couple kills. Next, we're going to talk about Will. Will is really great. Increases the magical interaction speed and spell power. Improves your buff/curse duration and improves your base magic resistance. This one is actually really good for a lot of classes. Specifically for Rogue, if you get it to 15, it's very nice, because it'll help you fighting against magical people, because it increases your resistance. It also increases skill damagers, right? So your Rupture, it's going to do 20 physical damage over 5 seconds, and that's really nice. But with your Poison, it counts as magic damage. So if you have really high will on a rogue with poison, it's going to increase how much damage your poison weapon is going to do, and it actually is really great. It's really great. And also having it at 15 allows you to use magic pots,
So that one's really good. Same with like for Warlock, it's going to increase your buff / curse duration, so it's always really nice to have extra will, and it increases your damage, of course. Also, side point, every stat is going to be slightly different for each class, each base stat, by the way. So it's not going to be the same for each class. Just keep that in mind. Resourcefulness, knowledge. This one is not important at all unless you're a wizard, druid, cleric, anyone who casts spells, because this increases the memory capacity of your character and spellcasting speed of your character. So that one, it's only good for wizards and like warlocks and stuff like that if you're a spellcasting warlock. So just keep that one in mind. Resourcefulness increases the regular interaction speed of your character and significantly increases how quickly you install items such as traps and campfires. This one is actually really good. This one is really good, and it's slept on. So this is gonna also decrease how long it takes your abilities to come off cooldown, by the way, as well, which is really handy for a lot of classes like the cleric if you're running a smite build. This is actually really handy. It also increases how fast you open doors, so having a little extra resourcefulness can be really handy. And it's really helpful for traps and campfires, so rangers really like this little stat too. But it's not super important, but it's not a bad role to have on a piece of gear. And then of course your health. So this is going to be mostly for mages. Other kind of, you don't really need to get into this whole extra thing. The only one I like to check is this movement speed. And your manual dexterity is really nice, and then of course like your equip speed, but that doesn't matter too much. Rogues are going to have a lot faster regular interaction speed, but they're going to have slow magical interaction speed. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that was a thing. I like, my brain hurt for a second there. So your physical damage reduction is also great. Your armor rating is going to help increase that, but you don't really have to worry too much about that for right now. That's going to be kind of a more advanced weapon or advanced tactics here. So now that we got done with that, what we're gonna talk about next is having a ranged weapon of some kind. So rogues can use hand crossbows. I always recommend getting one of these. You can buy one from the woodsmith or the woodsman for 25 gold, and then you can buy bolts here. I always get 2. It's really good. It's really good to have some sort of range, or even 2. So I always carry some throwing knives with me. But of course, I'm gonna play like I'm brand new. So, but always remember. Actually, I don't even think you get gloves when you're brand new. Yeah, I don't think you start with gloves. I'm pretty sure you don't. So I'm not gonna put those on. But of course, yeah, that's one thing. Throwing knives is what you're gonna start out with. We just want to focus on escaping our first match, really, and then we'll talk about dodging and keeping up movement speed. But that is one thing you want to be mindful of, is when you're equipping things in dungeon, try to not make yourself a really slow guy, because you're just going to get run over, you're going to get bombed by wizards. The rogues will just end your life because you can't move. Anyone in range is just going to delete you. But we're going to go ahead and run a Goblin Caves. Goblin Caves is going to be one of your easiest maps to figure out. It's really simple layout. It's not too dark in there, and it's really nice. And then Ruined is going to be a little bit harder in my opinion. It's really good, but you see kind of less players here. You're going to see a lot more players in Goblin Caves. And then here, you got to be careful as well. So in the Goblin Caves, I'm going to start it. But one thing I am going to talk about as well is you need to be careful of getting your gear score, and we're going to show that in game. When you load into a lobby, you want to keep your gear score below 25 when you're a new player. Do not go above 25. When you get out with gear, just put it in your stash and hold on to it. And if you find anything better, you can sell that piece or whatever in your next match. Focus on building up money first. That's what you really want to do. So this guy, he's going to be kind of slow. So watch, his speed is going to be 93% with his weapons out. So he would never catch me. He would never catch me, even if he pops. Barbarian's going to be really dangerous. You got to be careful with them. But you want to keep your gear score low, because as soon as you go above 25, you're going to get in with geared players. So you just want to be careful with that. Now, when you are fighting with other players,
you can dodge, but we'll talk about that when we get into the game. Alright, we're in. So, this is a pretty common spawn. We have a chest right behind us, so always do a little circle check to see if you have a chest near you. These are really good. Do you see the movement speed on these? We've got less movement speed and agility and spellcasting. That extra roll is going to be useless for us, but that agility 3 is going to be really nice, and it's less hindrance on our move speed. Ale is going to be used for a quest, so we are going to hold on to that. Now we have a rapier, and this is going to break this a lot faster. One thing I do recommend for new players is having a torch. A torch is really handy. A torch is really handy to have because it'll light up these kind of areas. Now, one thing you need to be careful of, as long as this goblin doesn't aggro on me, when you have your weapon out, it applies that minus move speed on you. So you're going to be moving a lot faster with your weapon put away, kind of like Apex. And when you're pulling out your weapon, jump, because you're going to carry your momentum. You actually get slowed down when you pull out your weapon and put it away. So you're going to get slowed down. And same if you're using the S key, you're going to be moving a lot slower. So try to not use the S key, kind of move your camera around. And it's kind of as simple as that. Bait this guy to attack right there, move around him, because I want to talk a little bit about this more. So you want to practice that. Now, mobs have an attack range and attack patterns. They will do kind of similar attacks every time. Some of them might have 3, some might have 2, depending on the rarity of the mob. Anything that is red or black color, you want to be really careful of, because they're going to have more health and they're going to do more damage. And they might have an extra attack pattern if they're black as well. So, one thing that you can do is you bait out their attack, go for the head because it does more damage, bait out the attack, go for the head, do more damage, bait out the attack, go for the head, and then you can even go in 2 there. If you know you have a faster weapon, you can go for 2, bait out the damage, put it away, and then you can loot that. And you generally, you won't get hit. Your main goal when learning this game is to learn how to not get hit by mobs, because you do not want to get hit by mobs. So we have 2 mobs on us right here, so we need to be careful. The bullet slinger is going to wind up, and he's going to throw, and then we're going to go for this mob here. We're going to go for 2 because we know we're fast, and as he's running, I'm going to stab him once, bait his attack out, he's going to run away. That's something that goblins do. We're going to wait for him, dodge, bait 1, maybe get 2. We're going to bait him there, so we're safe. We're going to bait his swing first. We're going to go for his head. Bait for that. Go for him again. Oh, and I got hit by that. So that's something you want to be careful of. Now, your potions here. When you drink a potion, it's going to bring a little timer at the bottom there. It heals over time. This is always good to have in the middle of fights. If you're getting hurt really bad by a player and you're running away, this also slows your movement speed down, by the way, so you kind of want to always be jumping when you're swapping stuff like this. It's very handy to be jumping and swapping, carrying that momentum. Same with putting away your weapon to gain that extra movement speed. You always want to be doing that. You always want to be at full health as well. You never want to be under full health. Now with bandages, when you're using them, you want to jump and then use it, of course. Now I have a little bit of missing health, so we're going to do that. Jump, and then try and get yourself around the corner. Also, this game is very much physics-based, like Mordhouse. So your weapon, see, it's going to, at the end of it, I'm going to stab right in the middle, okay? Stab right in the middle. But if I'm really close, it's going to stab on the right there. So you got to be wary of that, especially with any stabbing weapons. Wherever your actual blade is going to go, that's where it's going to go. Now, at the end, that's where it's going to go, right? But if you're really close, it's going to go to the right a little bit, so you got to be careful with that. Now, some weapons can't break boxes and stuff. So specifically on Rogue, you don't really have anything that can break barrels and boxes like this. So that's why we bring the loot. Now, these boxes always carry gear, heals, or extra throwables. This is a really good way to find loot. So we have this, has knowledge 3, resourcefulness 2, magic penetration. Now we have nothing, so that resourcefulness 2 will come handy. The knowledge isn't really going to help us very much besides our rupture, or we don't have poison actually, never mind. This, you can keep it to sell. You can keep it for another character. Since we have nothing, we're just going to hold on to it. Barrels will also have gear. Sometimes barrels can have a skeleton though in certain maps, so be careful with that. Explosive bottle and a torch. Torch isn't really worth much. Explosive bottles are nice because you can throw them for damage. And then same with these pots. They will have stuff in them as well, but not gear, I don't believe. So we always carry the loot with us because it's going to have really good stuff.
Now, the bigger the weapon is, the faster it's going to be at breaking pots and barrels and stuff. The rapier is also kind of technically a lighter weapon, so it doesn't break things very fast. Now, when you are opening a chest, you can move slightly, but if you move too much, it stops it. So, you want to kind of put yourself in a good position to kind of watch around and check everything. So this one is going to have strength, 1 vigor, agility. This is really good. Oh, it's a dinosaur. It was my kid's toy. I was like, what is that? So we're going to take that off, throw it. We're going to put this on. That's going to be really handy. That's going to be 2 agility, 2 dexterity, 1 strength, 1 vigor. And no movement speed minus. So this Shadow Mask is actually really good for us. That's going to help us do a lot of damage. Okay, so we're kind of in the middle of the map here. Let's kind of figure out where we are exactly. So you always want to kind of be listening out, and anything that shines is something you can pick up. So we have an extract over there, those little blue stairs. So let's keep that in mind, and let's move on here. So this is going to be one of the boss rooms in Goblin Caves. This is going to be a very dangerous place. We kind of don't want to go there because there is a lot of players. Anywhere that the middle of the map is, I mean, you're generally going to run into some players. Here's another mob right here. This is going to be the Goblin Mage. He's really easy to deal with. You just wait for him to attack, stab him up. He's going to attack again. Go ahead and dodge and kill him. Really simple. The Nightmare one is very dangerous. Recommend looking up, how to deal with it. It just basically does like an automatic shot, like pop, 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 pop. And it can also heal. These are really good gloves, better than what I have. We're gonna have that vigor, the will, and arm rating. Now gloves never minus movement speed, I don't believe, unless plate gloves do, but I don't think they do. So we have a spider pot down there. That's a very evil thing. So the spiders, they're really annoying. I always recommend using a pretty bigger weapon, and then try and hit them without hitting the ground so you can keep attacking. Because if you hit the ground, you're going to be stunned for a second. Same with hitting shields for players, by the way. Okay, we also have a bat on us. Bats are really easy to deal with. So they're going to do a scream at first, and you just want to move out of the way of the scream. And then they're going to do a dash like that. You can just move out of the way. Bait out that attack if you don't want to deal with it. They do that dash. And then there you go. Now don't worry about being hit or dying in the game, really, because it's going to happen. You're always going to get hit. Even the best players get hit. So another good thing, and I'll show with the spiders, is you can hit multiple mobs with one swing. So if I get these guys grouped up here, and then I do this, I hit both of them. So I just move my camera around a little bit, and I can hit both. So that's really handy. Spider pots will constantly spawn spiders, by the way, unless they're broken. So you want to do your best to break them. And then actually, we're going to use the loot because it's going to one-shot it. Oh, it doesn't. I thought it did. Okay, so then just use the other thing. That's a potion of healing. That's really handy. Alright, so this extract's open. So we're going to open this up. We're going to fight this little goblin. So we got 3 things that aggroed onto us. We can easily pull back or close the door if we don't want to deal with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and take out this bat first. The rapier is really handy to have as a rogue because it gives you really long range. And it has a really good attack speed on it as well. So you always want to be kind of looking out and seeing, if there's anyone behind you, keeping your eye out. So be careful when the goblins run away from you because they will 360 attack you. So let me show you that double attack there. Oop, don't get ourselves caught there. Now the mummy does a lunge attack, but if you back up, you can kind of outpace them unless they're red. If they are red, they will mess you up very easily. Oh wow, what is this? What is this game? What is that? That's crazy. On a mummy. Okay, so obviously that's really good. That increases our will there. Makes it 15. That's going to be really good for us. Let's go ahead and loot this chest over here. These are shrines. These shrines are always very handy. Shrine of Power will give you extra power. They don't last very long, but you never know. It might come in very handy. So we're going to go ahead and check this out. Now these shoes have less move speed. They do have 1 strength. Actually, they have the same move speed, so there's going to be better. It's going to have that strength on it. That's going to be really nice. Going to pick up the ale just to sell. A little goblin there. Alright, and that is the Goblin Caves timer. Once it hits about 5 minutes, it's going to start doing that. We have Ebola here, so we're going to bait out his attack. Oh, and then we're going to have a fight on our hand. Oops.
So this guy's going to have creep on him. So I'm going to be trying to keep careful here. Try and bait out his creep. He's going to not... I don't think he's going to chase me because he wants that extract. We don't want to chase a rogue. A rogue is going to be very dangerous for us. Now, we could have stayed at the door. Okay, there he is. Now, we want to bait out that stealth because that stealth is going to be our killer here. Nice. That was a good hit on him. There we go. Nice job. Now, what I did there, by the way, is I basically stayed at long range there. So I stayed at long range and I juked left and right because I know from experience that the rapier is going to have a really hard, or it's going to have a long attack pattern, and it's going to have mostly swipe downs. It does have 1 swipe on you, which can be very dangerous as well. So luckily this guy has a surgical kit, so what we're going to do, we're going to close that. We're going to pop the surge. Now, after a player fight, you want to make sure that you're always full health. You always want to make sure. Now, when I talked about the range weapons, those throwing knives, we may have not hit it, but we made him pop that shit early, and so that we can kind of just back away from it. Now, what I talked about when I saw him in the pregame lobby about him wearing that gear, he was a lot slower than me. So it made it really easy to kind of stay away from him. So we can kind of just take this loot. A lot of this, you know, it's up to your discretion on what you want to take. Since he's the same class as me, we're going to look at what he has. That's agility 3. That's a rogue piece, so we're going to hold on to that for later, just in case. That's a quest item. That's a handled campfire, so we don't really want that. You can also move around as well when vigor armor penetration. That's a really nice one. So we're going to put that up there to save some space. We're also going to move that up there. And then that should be good. And then we got these boots, which aren't really good. But we're going to take the extra gold. His movement speed was really slow, so he couldn't catch us, especially with the rapier out. The rapier is going to be minus 15 move speed. So it's really dangerous. But what I did there is I knew he had that rapier, so I don't want to fight him with a dagger. Because if I fight him with a dagger, I'm going to be cooked. Like, he's going to hit me with that rapier. I may do more damage, but my rupture was off cooldown. And I knew the rapier would be able to range it. But if you look, the rapier has the stab, slash, slash, slash to the side, stab. So if you kind of remember that and you see someone using rapier, you can move left to dodge that, move left to dodge that, move right to dodge that, and then duck to dodge that, and then the stab. So you can just be really careful with it. But that was a very nice player kill. You can also use doors. As soon as I saw him, you know, I closed that door. It's really quick to do to close doors. It's faster to, or it's longer to open doors. So, you know, we closed the door and trying to gain some space, but we could have hit in front of the door and played it safe there. These are really good pants with regular interaction speed. So we're gonna drop the quest item. I really wouldn't recommend it. I always drop gold because everything kind of sells more than the gold you're gonna get. But what we want to do is we want to create the space to pick up these pants because they're going to be really handy. I got to do my organizing a little bit better here. Let's see. So we're going to drop that, drop the silver because it's kind of hot garbo. How do we want to do this? My brain isn't functioning correctly here. How big are the pants? Okay, so there we go. Anyways, and then we can pick that up. Brain wasn't functioning. Then we can go ahead and check this out. We got a better rapier. That's going to be a light gray. And we got some pants. That's handy. We're going to check this chest out. We're right next to an extract that we know is open.
So we're just going to take that. Now for boots, I always recommend... Oh, actually, I don't know if I make that. I might have been playing around too much. So for those extracts, you see the rocks collapse there? If the rocks aren't collapsed, that extract's open. And then there's also rope extracts as well, and then there's portals as well. So, after you got out of your first game, you'll probably die. I'm just going to say that. You'll probably die, and that's perfectly okay. You're always going to die in this game. You'll die even when you should be doing good. Now you have all this loot. You can kind of take the pieces you want to keep off. So, yeah, those are good. This one's really nice, but that one could probably sell for a lot better. That one could probably sell for a bunch, so I'm going to put it up there. These pants are nice. I don't recommend going into that plus 25. I'm going to be honest. You can use these gray ones and try different stuff as well. You know, these pickaxes, other kind of jazz like that. But we can put all this treasure and some of the quest items. Just kind of put those up. We want to keep those. Those are nice. That could be a sellable. And that we could just sell to the merchant. Then we're going to talk about the marketplace, so when you get kind of a little bit extra. But actually, first, what I want to talk about is cheesing the squire. So we're going to cheese the squire by taking all these off, and we want to get extra stuff. So we're going to go to the squire. Now that the stuff has come out, it's lost its supplied status and now has handled. So if you equip, you get extra throwing knives, you get an extra campfire, and you get extra pots. See, it didn't move those pots. You get extra stuff, and then you get your stuff back. It's always really handy to do that, because now, you know, I have that extra stuff if I want it, and I get the free extra pots. The only thing is you can't stack these, but you can stack them once you get into game. So once you sell, you know, get some of this, get some of these, get your crossbow, and then some arrows. And the crossbow usually resupplies after every match, so you don't have to worry about too much. But we're going to quickly talk about the marketplace. Once you get to level 20, you can pay your way in, and then you have access to the marketplace. Once you get it about 100 hours, and you watch a lot of videos on like different builds, like find someone who plays your class that you like, watch their videos and learn about their builds. It'll be the most helpful thing for you, because you can kind of understand like what kind of builds there are, what you can do. It'll really help open your mind. But if you're trying to sell something, like let's say this, for example. This is a Badger Pendant with additional magic damage, 45 luck, projectile damage reduction. So the base roll is that gray. That's always going to be on there, so we don't have to worry about that. But if we look at Badger Pendant, okay, and then we want to look again. It has magic damage, luck. Those are probably going to be the better stats. So we're going to look up magic. Oop, if I can spell magic. Additional magic damage, right? That's what it was. Additional magic damage. Brain hurting now. Where did I put it? Yeah, additional magic damage and luck. Okay, so we have additional magic damage on there. And then we can look up luck. And then put that on there as well. And then search. So we have these ones. So we're going to set it to epic, so that we get the purple ones. These sell for about $250. This one has memory capacity, so that one's probably going to be better than ours, so you might want to sell it for less. Generally, if you want to sell it, just sell it for a little bit less than the person who has it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this on, and we're going to do 240. Oop, not that many. 240. Create the listing, and then that should sell. And then that's an easy 240 right there. There is ours right there. Some of these have some better ones. The more expensive ones are going to have really good stuff on it, which is what I had on mine, which is actually hilarious that someone's trying to sell that for 1,000. Additional magic damage. So what that person did is they went too deep into it. So if I looked at mine and I did projectile damage reduction, projectile. You don't want to do the full unless you have really good like base stat ones, right? But like mine's gonna be the only one that shows up because mine's the only one that's like that, right? So you kind of just want to do your two best and then check all the ones like that. And if you see another one that's pretty similar to yours, you could probably list it for just about the same. And if it doesn't sell, just lower your price or check the market again. And you can do that with just about everything. And that's how you're gonna sell things in the market. Because what I recommend is you at least get your first stash before you try running like green kids. Because you want to use your second stash for putting in stuff that's going to be good. Once you get past the 124 bracket, though, you get put in with the big boys, the legendary gear guys, the Grimsile rings, the capes. Those are your big boys, and you want to be very careful with the big boys. But you want to save like potions and all that, like especially these green ones and stuff. I save them for when you need them the most. And that's going to be basically kind of all I want to talk about with this. That's more or less going to be your first couple times. Just practice, check out different weapons. I don't recommend going to the Frost Mountain, but you can go to the ruins. Learn and learn. If you guys would like to see a little bit more in-depth guide, I'm going to be doing some Zero to Hero runs here soon, and basically be doing that, but with no gear at all. I am not the best player in the world. I am actually far, far from it. I would call myself maybe an intermediate player. I only have about 140 hours in the game now. But I would like to start learning, the best way. And Zero to Hero runs are always fun because you spend no money and you only make money. And so if you lose money and you have a bad day with like your friends or whatever, and you lose like all the gear in your stash and you lose all your money, you can always run the Pormals and go Zero to Hero or just Squire gear. And it's honestly a lot of fun. And it's the best way to practice too. If you're practicing bosses, just run Poor. But do remember that people rush the bosses, especially Warlocks, because it's the easiest thing to do. And people want to make money. And honestly, in Pormals, they should lower the loot on the bosses, or just make it not drop pelts and like the specific gear and stuff, because it's really hard for people to learn. And hopefully they get rid of this rotation since we have enough players now. They added this rotation in because we used to only have like 2,000-3,000 players at a time. Now we have about like 20,000 to 30,000 at all times. This is a little late on a Wednesday, so it's going to be a little bit less. But we have a lot of players. We have a lot of players, specifically in the dungeon, and that's like going to be your most important. Those are people who are actively playing and not just sitting on the menu. But I hope you guys learned and enjoy from this experience. Check out my channel if you liked it. Let me know if you didn't like it, or if there's any other info that you want to share that would be really helpful for newer players. Put it down in the bottom there. I'm sure there's stuff that I forgot to talk about that I wanted to. But I think that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. This was Drac. Have a good one.